Wow.
Would you put mustard all over yourself?
This is the Here's the Deal podcast, the Max Baker Jr. story. Jeff, what episode is this?
The one that's after the last episode and the one that's before the next episode.
Hey,
how's that?
He's the baddest driver around.
Baddest or worst?
Well, when I mean bad, I mean like George Thorogood bad.
To the bone?
Hey, when my life's in your hands, it doesn't scare me as much as some of the others.
Yeah? Are you ready to go on a bike? You ready to ride a bike?
Yes.
I don't want a pickle. I just want to ride my motorcycle. Who sang that song?
I just want to ride my bike.
Oh, that's Queen.
Yeah.
I was talking about Arlo.
Different one.
I don't know.
Arlo sang that song.
Who?
Arlo Guthrie. I don't want a pickle. I just want to ride my motorcycle. You never heard that?
You can get everything at Alice's restaurant.
Except for Alice. Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry, Jay.
So we are joined by a very special guest, and his name is Mike Pierce. And Mike was one of the very first listeners of the podcast to reach out and talk about how much he loved what we were doing on the podcast.
I do.
And that's because you were here in the 80s
there
when all of this was happening.
He helped write the book.
You were a part of the scene. So how much of it did we get correct and how much did we get wrong?
Oh, boy.
Most of it that I can think of is correct. There was only one thing I had a question about. And we might get to that later. I don't know.
That's your phone over there. Remember how we mute the phones?
Hold on.
It's his podcast. What can we do?
Yeah. Business call. But yeah, I think everything I hear is spot on. It's with you guys and the funny stories with some of your other guests. I just sit on my patio in Melbourne, Florida, and just rolling.
Well, you probably have a couple of funny stories to add.
I might. Some stories I can't tell, like anything to do with me and Dave Brown.
So before we get too deep into it, Mike, let's talk about the early days. You moved to Oklahoma City in what, 1981?
About 81, yeah.
Okay, what was the very first band here in Oklahoma City that you were involved with?
A band called Teazer out of Del City, Oklahoma.
And that is that's a band we've talked about from various shows at the Diamond and the various clubs, Mad Max's and whatnot.
Was it Michael Myers Sr. in that band?
No, it was a guy named Mike McCluskey, Tim Chisholm, Jeff McDaniels, and Greg Calkins from Del City High School.
So
after Teazer, what was the next band?
Judia.
Judia.
Yeah.
That's where I met him. I know Teazer you were doing those shows like the VFW Hall.
Yep.
And, like going back to the beginning, like the scene we have of some of these kids nowadays.
Teazer played the Diamond.
Yep.
They did.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
You were on, because you being from Del City and everything, you was around, you had Robin Alvis from that area.
Yep.
Tony Gordley and Power Lord from that area. Ibex.
White Heat.
Yeah. And so, and then y'all migrated to the Diamond.
That was the only way to go. We were like playing garages or VFW. Robin would say, "Hey, we're putting a show together."
Right.
And this is way before Toucan started, but that's kind of how it started.
Toucan started in the garage.
Yep, at the same place they rehearsed.
Right.
Exactly.
So after Judia, is that when you got into Black Symphony?
No, that was years later. I got with Larry Schaefer was a big part of it.
That's like a jump.
Yeah,
because
it's a big jump.
Because like with Judia was, there was one monster show that was probably legendary for Oklahoma City. Was the one when we did at the Sight Hall at the Myriad. That was when I was first coming on. It was Power Lord, Judia, and they had room for Oliver Magnum.
Correct.
And that show right there just kicked it off for Oliver Magnum. But it also, this was three bands locally that, we're talking couldn't go anywhere, and hall rental wasn't cheap. But not only were they able to get the building, the numbers there were phenomenal that night.
Good crowd.
If you were to name the big four of Oklahoma metal, in your opinion, who would it be?
I would have to say Oliver Magnum, Forte. I don't know if you'd call Ugly Stick that.
Power Lord.
Well, Power Lord
has
definitely.
to be, I mean,
as far as metal, yes.
Forte, Power Lord, Oliver Magnum, Ugly Stick belongs in there.
But they were different.
But the metal that Ugly Stick was doing, they were Soundgarden-ish at its finest. Mm-hmm. They were like, I remember getting them signed to Pavement. It wasn't much of a record deal, but it was a deal.
It was a deal.
And I mean, the crazy part about Ugly Stick was Jeff and I going all over. We ran into a record store one time at Fort Worth, and they had out there sitting on the counter the Ugly Stick demo cassette
for sale in this little bitty record store.
And I bought it, and as I was buying it, the dude that owned the place,
because we were talking out loud about.
We were talking out loud. This one guy goes,
Price and Pages,
"Is your name Max Baker?"
He knew who you were.
Yeah. Well, he was. His name is Rick Perry, and he had a band called Gamacide.
Yep.
And so,
And he was talking to the guy that was the tour manager for
the Wonton. No,
Watain. Watain, not Wonton.
Jeff's favorite band.
Watain.
Well, he was also has a band called Solitude Arturnus, and him and Greg Scott were great. The thing about metal and the thing about bands like Armored Saint that are out there on the road today, Queensryche doing The Warning and Queen of the Reich, I seen pictures of this famous photographer named Mike, I can only say his last name, Sovia. He's out of Seattle. But Queensryche, being from Seattle, he was an early photographer. He's Journey's photographer now. But he posted at the show they were at the other night in Seattle, his, with Armored Saint, back then, you wrote the bands. It was a pen pal thing. Mm-hmm. There was no internet. This guy had all the fan letters that they had written him to, and John Bush, the singer, gave him a shout out, because that we all met Armored Saint. If you were into metal, that in '85, everybody did the same, because they were the ones on tour with Metallica and Wasp. That's when I was in '85. That's when it opened the whole door for me for Metallica, and I didn't even see him in Oklahoma. Saw him in Wichita, Kansas.
Nice.
But
talking about writing into bands, so Mike and I were looking at a flyer earlier. It's a Teazer flyer, and on the bottom it said, send a self-addressed stamped envelope.
Yep.
Right.
And had his address in Delta City on the bottom of the flyer.
And I learned that from the guys that were doing it. It's just like, hey, they're doing it. Maybe it works. What happens?
Did you by chance go by there since you're in town to see if they had any mail for you?
Exactly. It's all backed up. Some apartments over there.
They walk out with 2 tubs of mail. It's all your fan mail, Mike.
You're the singer in Teazer?
But
I don't ever remember getting any, honestly.
It's like, too, how you had it back then. How'd you get invited to the show? You hand wrote the address, you folded the flyer and put a stamp on it. You went it to the mailbox, And then you had bands like Power Lord. I think, they were kind of like the inventors of it. Then you had Forte, Oliver Magnum. Mike probably had one too. But they join our mailing list.
Yep.
So it's like signing up today on the internet.
And Power Lord guys, they kind of brought their stuff because they had the knowledge of what the LA scene was doing already, which is
Right.
way ahead of the curve. Because, our Teazer was kind of a cover band and we wrote originals too, but we were doing like Wasp, Motley Crue, but our bass player had lived out there because his dad worked.
But Mike, every band had to do that because
yeah.
like original music venues didn't exist.
No.
You were expected to entertain and pack out a bar and cover 3 hours.
Well, here's the deal. When
And we never
Oliver
did that
Magnum,
back then.
when Oliver Magnum went on that circuit, and I'm sure you went on that circuit, there was bars out there that you rolled in on a Monday. They had your own quarters, some of them on the bar. You played from Tuesday through Sunday, four 45-minute sets. And, that's how, like, bands like Pantera, bands like Rothschild America, 45-minute sets, you could get away with 2 originals a set. And if your covers were good, then guess what? The music you're playing that's your own just start going into your head.
Well, that's why we only did our own shows because we had somewhat control over it.
Right.
And what we played. And we'd throw in some covers, just to kind of, but we like do a Hank Williams song, but our version of it.
But,
you know what I mean?
Right.
When you put on your own shows, if somebody came up and wanted to interview you, did you turn them away?
No.
Or tell them that they have to do something else?
No.
See?
Are you thinking of something specific?
No,
Miles?
I'm just thinking about out loud how the model has changed.
It has changed.
Because
But back then you didn't have the internet, so any way you could get the word out about your band.
Yep.
That's why you had demo cassettes and or the little EP
well,
cassette.
and the other part about it is, take a band like Power Lord.
Mm-hmm.
They were smart in who they got to open for them. You're looking at death metal through Power Lord, but you got Teazer or Judia on it, so you've got your little crowd over here into this band, and the cool part about it is, back then in the scene, you came and you didn't leave.
No, you watched everybody.
And
LA wasn't like that.
right.
No. So what band were you in like when we had Rock City, like in '92?
That was a band called Gangsta Stroll.
92.
Because they were on a bunch of shows.
I mean,
a bunch,
and then also too the Gangsta Stroll, SFON, 36 inches shows,
Yeah.
classic.
Yep.
Easy Access.
Yep. Freak Brothers,
There was a bunch of them back then.
Screwface, Sex Farmers, same band. But yeah.
36 inches. You got to have Buck Bush there.
Hey. But Mike was also then, but before 92 and we had the club, you left Oklahoma.
Went back to LA, yeah.
You went back to LA and started kicking it around like that. And, you're making a name for yourself. I can remember.
Trying, yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? Didn't you get a audition for Rat?
I did, yep.
To be the singer for Rat?
And that's when that's when I moved back here, and that was after, I was still in the Black Symphony, but I joined Erotic Suicide, which ended up becoming ES3, because I wanted to leave Erotic Suicide what it was when they
Right. I mean, listen, that band was way ahead of their time, and they if they hadn't that part of their ways, the crazy part about Oklahoma bands that I've seen throughout the years is right when you're knocking on the door, or how famous do you want to be? Oklahoma famous, and they think that they've done something. Not that they haven't, but they've got it in their local. But you take it to another city,
Or you're regional.
and
It's a lot harder to replicate the success in your hometown in other states,
Absolutely.
in cities where you don't live. And that is what separates the men from the boys.
Yep.
Because for most bands, the ones that get to the level where they're really big in their hometown, let's just say Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Dallas, you're from one of those towns and you're big in that town and you think you've got the big dick on the block.
Element.
Then you get outside of that and you're playing these markets where you've never been and you're playing first and you're playing to nobody. And that's a serious blow
And
to your
it
ego.
either humbles you and makes you want to work harder and come back.
Or it breaks
One
you.
band becomes two becomes 20, and that's the whole thing about the networking.
Well,
And
ES3 was bigger in Texas than we ever were in
Right.
Oklahoma.
But it's weird to go from local to regional, then to national.
But then again, too, say you do take it into the regional. Where it really gets wild is, say some dude's out there from Atlantic Records to just drinking and ends up, and this happened more than once in the 80s and 90s. And he got his eye, because they were always looking and had their eye on a band. And, say you get signed. You ain't even made it then.
The work's just begun.
Right.
That's when it
Because
starts.
here's what happens. They open their briefcase, they'll give, but if they don't see no action, the papers you sign thinking you're going to be a rock star, you're going to owe for the rest of your life.
They're giving it to you, but you don't read the fine print that says, oh, by the way, you got to pay all of this back with interest.
I'll give you an example. Mm-hmm. And Mike can back this. Bands, people would drive through going to Choice Music all the time. And I remember this one band came to my shop.
Hold on. Pull your shirt down.
Oh. I don't like that. So, came to my shop and invited me to the Samurai. Said there were record companies, the record stores were going to be there. It was free food, free booze at the Samurai.
Was this the flicker stick deal you were talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
And so they invited us, and me being from the South Side and poor, I'm sitting there watching these record store managers pound the sake.
Yeah, dude, they're making $9 an hour.
But they're
and they're the store manager.
and they're in
Yeah.
and they're eating and all that, and it's like and these guys they think they got something going on because you have all these people at a table.
Okay, let me set this scene for you real fast, Max. This band, Flicker Stick, were from Dallas, Austin area. And
No, this band was from California.
okay, then it wasn't Flicker Stick.
No, but they I forget their name, but then they said the record label guy introduced them to the whole table and said, after we eat, we're going to stick around for a performance of them. And so I'm eating with the guys, really one of the only ones having a conversation with them. And I look at them and go, man, can I tell you something? They're like, what? I go, who do you think's paying for that dude over there pounding that sake and all this food on the table and everything? Oh, the record label. Okay.
No.
The record label. I said, that's you. How many? We do.
It's going on the record label credit card.
But he's like, we do
that's
this.
getting added to your
We
bill.
do this in every city. Right. So they eat, they play. Guess where those people that own the record stores or the managers were?
Strip club.
Nowhere to be found. I was the only one that stayed to watch them. And I'm an independent guy, that didn't. And the craziest thing was about 2 months later, they come back through Oklahoma City. And they go, we're driving back to Hollywood. And we came here just to tell you that everything you said to us has happened
correct.
to us. And we are no longer on the label, and we're having to beg to get home. And that's how they left those bands.
All the time.
Yeah.
all
That ever happened
the
to you, Mike?
time.
Nope.
Okay,
Mike
so,
said
so
nope.
Mike, did any of your bands get record deals?
The Black Symphony did, but it was a European deal, so we immediately went international. No,
You did though.
yeah,
I mean, and here's the thing. Same way with Power Lord, same way with Forte. They went Europe. Nobody in America wanted to do it. You became an import.
Okay, so was the music business in Europe, did it operate the same way, essentially,
No.
as the music business in America, where
No.
it's always kind of shady and under the table?
yep,
Worse.
yeah,
It was worse.
yeah,
was worse
It's
in
worse.
Europe?
It's worse.
Wow.
I mean, we'll take Dave Brown, for instance. He became the president of Massacre Records that was signed by Forte. Forte was signed. He became the USA rep for Massacre Records. And
Which weren't they
I loaded
technically-
every one of his CDs in the back of a 14-foot box
Right.
van from top to
When
front
he-
to back.
Weren't they technically through that label through Century Media?
yes,
Okay.
they were one of the first ones.
Okay.
And so, but, you say a record company, all the CDs that he shipped out were at his house. Everything he had stock was in his garage.
Because they probably didn't have any warehouse space.
Well, they
over
didn't have
here.
enough money.
Yeah,
Right.
And it's like, so,
They probably had a warehouse in Europe.
yes.
But here,
yes.
being a new label,
And I
New
mean,
band.
coming up,
Yeah.
Century Media just come on, but came out. So
they weren't even really established in the States.
Not
Century
at
Media
all.
wasn't at that time.
not at all. and so, how many of those concretes did you go to? Concrete Foundations.
Well, I went to that one where Oliver Magnum was there.
Yes.
Motorhead played that year, and that was when I think they released the Overnight Sensation album.
90, 91.
91. I mean, we went to a few of those, and David, being the record label, Massacre, he was able to talk them in to getting Forte's showcase
Yep, that's right.
at this big metal thing called Concrete Forum.
Jeff, what episode was that with
Yeah, you
Rev,
guys-
where Rev is talking about playing that showcase? Do you remember?
I want to say it's.
Come on, fact checker.
Hey,
It's been a minute.
Hey, there's over 100 to remember. Hold on a second.
It's not as easy as it once
Yeah, it
was.
was really easy at one time. It's like I want to say it's like 46 or something like that.
I'll try to put the link to it in the description so it's easy to find.
And the reason I remember that foundation, or if it wasn't that one, maybe one before, is because I gave Mickey D and what was Willie, I can't remember his name. He was some record guy that Dave Brown knew, a ride home in my GSI Storm.
Everybody was a hero at the hotel. But I mean,
Mike, you're one of the reasons why I got to meet Mickey D at the Zoo Amphitheater.
he played in your band.
What, Mickey D?
Yeah.
No, I wish. Yeah.
Or that was,
Jeff Martin.
okay.
Yeah, he was in the Black Symphony with
And he
Rev
was
and I.
also in Black and Blue.
Okay,
He was the singer for Racer X.
Yes.
And the drummer for Badlands.
Badlands. Oh, that was that band with what's his name in it?
Ray Gillen.
No. Yeah, it was Ray Gillen
Yeah.
and Jakey Lee.
Jakey Lee. That's what I
And
was
Greg
thinking.
Chason,
Yes. Who was Dave Brown's roommate at one time
probably.
because he was in Tough.
That was his brother that was in Tough.
Okay.
Damn,
Both bass players.
you better get your facts straight.
Tough
Hey,
with two
that's
F's.
why I
That's
got
your
you.
job, Jeff.
Yeah.
You're Max's fact checker.
Hey, Mike's doing an excellent job. I may get replaced. Keep him in check, Mike.
But when I did move back in between, before I hooked up with the ES3 guys, quick all tie together thing, we were playing in Eindhoven at Dynamo Fest, and that was the year Pantera played, so we got to hang out with them. But I was doing an interview with the MTV girl there, and she goes, "You're from Oklahoma?" And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "Have you heard of erotic suicide?" I go, "I have."
Yeah, I mean, because I'm telling you, and she probably come unglued.
Yeah, well, she's like, "Oh, yeah." But I said, "I don't know them personally, but I think we
because
played a New
their
Year's show with them
looks,
one
their-
year."
They had it going on. That they did, but you know, it's our paths have always crossed.
Always.
And, you know, I mean, just some of the moments of that I can think of.
But we've known each other since before I was ever in music.
Right.
To our family and
Yeah. For your brother.
that's good. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I
You
mean,
saw his brother the other night at Queen's Ride.
I did. You know, for me, seeing your brother, you know, I met his brother in a rehab center when I was getting clean. And it's, you know, there wasn't no heavy feat to get cleaned up. But to be able to sit here and say, this year's will be my 36th year to be clean from drugs and alcohol.
Was his brother one of the people that you had to bribe with snacks and supplies?
No, that was the Carver Center.
That was later. His brother is very, very music oriented of songwriting and acoustics.
One of the best songwriters
and you
I know.
the John Pierce, man, it was a pleasure to see you. But the thing about it is, when we were back there, you know what I mean, they tell you, get you a hobby, get you something, you know, to just, because it's like this, if you're doing dope, all you're thinking about is dope. Your whole mind's dope. You're this, you got to get this, you got to get that. But then when you went behind those walls, you know, and you find there's some really talented people that have been lost in the shuffle. And, you know, we bonded and been friends ever since. And through that, I met Mike. And, you know, Mike, I mean, just sitting here thinking about it, you know, I mean, Mike's been in a important factor in, just like when we did the Rocklahoma story the other day. Mike came on and worked at CU for a minute. He helped break the hippies. He, you know, the office just, it flowed with all kinds of juices.
I went on tour with him. That was a good experience.
Where did you go?
Well, we went to the northwest of America in the wintertime.
Why?
That's what I asked the booking agent. I'm like, we got a bus and a trailer, and it's icy up here.
So, you know, and with that experience, but the one experience that with you that's vivid in my mind working at CEU was, do you remember the time, you know, Brad was always big on lunches, going for somewhere for an hour, you know, but his hour might become 2, could become 3. You know, you end up getting some barbecue way where you're not supposed to be, and you got shit to do. But y'all come in one day, and you were whiter than a ghost. And Mike they had seen, and were so freaked out about the whole situation. A car had flipped in front of them. And, you know, didn't the body get severed?
Well, he got ejected and from his Suburban.
They saw it, witnessed it. You know what I mean? The looks on their faces were just, but that's one vivid memory.
So I bet you guys brought sack lunches for the next week after that.
Yeah. We actually went and ate pho that day somewhere.
But, you know, but then here you go, too. I had a party one night, and, you know, I'm honored when this happened. There have been people, Jay, you've been one of them. You dress up like me. You try to talk like me. Mike comes up to me, and he's in a red jacket, and he goes, I need one thing from you. I need your hat for a minute. And he goes up there at city limits, and, you know, is looking like me.
It was your jacket, though, because I don't know why you had it off, because you usually have it on, but I'm like, so I got some good photo ops with it.
But, you know, and plus, too, when you did your band Metal Shop, you know, you guys were another one of the first to do those tributes.
Metal Headz.
Metal Headz.
Metal Headz. Yeah. Metal Headz. The little cartoon guys.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, and
with a Z.
but here's the other
From
part.
Alaska.
Yeah, Skagway to be precise.
Yeah. But the other part was with Metal Headz.
It's only been over a decade, and I still remember that.
Yeah.
You know, when you get offered something like this, I'm friends with Tesla. Tesla played the Frontier City, but Frank Hannon they had given him permission. He was doing solo stuff, and he wanted to come and play a bar. And he calls me and he says, I want to play. I want to play for you. Can you get me a pickup band? And it's like, so I call Mike. Hey, Mike, can you do a set of Metal Headz? And then would you like to be the pickup band, Frank Hannon? And so this all happens. Place is packed.
It was packed, and it was.
Packed.
I didn't know that PA could get that loud.
But the fact of the matter is, Frank came real quick to watch him. And then by the end of it was over, he told me, he said, man, I played with a lot of bands that wasn't so good. He goes, but this band, he said, this is one of my most favorite bands I've ever played with. And just,
And we closed with Love Song that night.
Yeah. He wasn't even supposed to do Tesla material. But he's having so much a good time. Mike was killing it. And just,
I've seen Frank Hannon play shows at clubs or bars more than I've seen Tesla.
Two Frogs.
Yes. It's always
I do like
awesome.
Two Frogs.
And here's the other thing about him. Every May, he is almost every May for the last many years I know, has been a guest at the Guitar Festival in Dallas. They always look for places to jam.
The guitar show, International
the guitar show. And one time, he played at Two Frogs. Mm-hmm. He couldn't even move.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
And then the next day, he went back to that thing. But, he didn't choose Dallas. He played Ardmore, Oklahoma.
That's awesome.
But just the things that we've done, how our paths crossed, to me, reaching out the first time, you're one of the, when he told me and Jeff told me, that you really dug what was going on here. And, it's like, for me, that meant the world to me because I'm not doing this. I don't do this to, I do this because of guys like you that throughout the times you had bands and, not only do we have bands, but we have long friendship there. Mm-hmm. And, it's, sometimes you got to look around and, hey, we're still standing.
We get to do this, I'm doing stuff differently in music now. I'm not in the music like performing, but behind the scenes stuff. Now,
right.
So
there's so many avenues you can do. It's like I don't promote shows. I build them. Mm-hmm. And I always tell people that work for me. We do. It does. Sometimes it's hard to eat in the winter. But
well, you put a little
like
money
I
back.
tell them, when the sun comes out and it's April, it's game on. And here we are.
So we need to hear some Mac stories from you.
Well, while he's thinking about it, I'll tell some Mike Pierce stories.
Look out!
Please do.
So one person that we talk about regularly on this podcast is Buck Bush and 36 Inches.
Yeah, Buck.
And I've actually played 36 Inches on more than one radio station. I think 3 at this point.
Wow.
But I had never met Buck up until this point. And Mike and Cassie, Mike's wife, they come and pick up my friend Kendall and I and take he and I. They say, hey, we're going out to have drinks. We're coming to get you. We're going to pick you up. You're coming with us.
There you go.
Okay. So they came by the studio and picked us up, and we go to the dugout. And 36 Inches is playing. And at this time, there was a TV show that was either on Discovery Network or Nat Geo or something like that. It was a reality show. And it was this guy named Billy, the Rock and Roll Exterminator. And he looked just like Buck Bush. The cowboy hat, the pants, the boots, all of it. I mean, exactly like it. And I don't know if you've ever hung out with Mike, but
Yes.
you're hammered drunk real fast hanging out with Mike.
You have to pace yourself.
And so we get to the dugout and walk into this place, and I just start screaming while Buck is on stage singing. I feel so bad about it now because it's a total dick move. But I'm just like, Billy, the rock and roll exterminator! Just walk up to the front of the stage heckling.
Wow.
And Cassie made us leave pretty abruptly after that.
She was our.
She probably went.
She was
She
our
probably
filter.
told Mike, "Where'd you get these hillbillies?"
We're not coming back to Oklahoma again.
Another one is we had, I don't know where, we had been to a show or Belle Isle Brewery, but either way, there were numerous drinks involved.
Again.
Yes, again. And Mike says, let's go to Edna's. And it's like a Friday or Saturday, and at this point, it's probably 10:30 at night. So if you know anything about Edna's and a Friday or Saturday,
It's pretty busy.
That line's going to be out the door.
Yeah,
to
you're not
get
getting in.
Yeah.
I don't like lines.
Yeah, he does not like lines. I don't know if you guys know this.
Neither does this one.
I don't either.
So we hop in the car, and we're on our way to Edna's from Belle Isle, just right down the road. And we get to the stoplight there at I-44, and we're on Expressway going east. And Pierce hops out of the car and takes off sprinting down Northwest Expressway, just running full speed, and waits until the light, like he just keeps going. The light turns green, and we catch up to him, and he just hops back in the car. So we get to Edna's, and he walks right to the front of the line and says, I don't know if you know who I am. I'm Butch Walker. And the guy goes, huh? And he goes, Butch Walker, Marvelous 3, pulls up the picture, shows it to him, and he's like, well, y'all come right on in. There's 100 people in line who are pissed off immediately.
Northsiders. Northsiders.
The third and final Pierce story I will tell is we have some mutual friends named Kim and John that work for the Oklahoma Department of Transportation. And we would regularly hang out with them during happy hour at Belle Isle. And the radio station I worked for was doing a contest. There was a new drink that was out, and it was like an energy drink / soda that was made by Coca-Cola, and it was called Vault. And it was god-awful. It was like
terrible.
a
It was
clear
terrible.
waste.
Terrible.
Nasty.
And they sent
Nasty.
us pallets of this stuff to give away and paid for us to do this big promotion where they provided us, it was something like a 6-day, 5-night trip to Vegas for 10 people.
Yeah, it was a crazy.
Like a full week in Vegas, airfare, hotel for
And all the vault you could dream.
for 10 people. So this promotion was we had a sign-up form on the website that if you were on the job, submit your job site, and we will provide lunch and drinks if you're the winner. And it's not like it was a contest that could be rigged. All of this went into a website,
Right.
and I logged in and clicked choose winner. And it would pull me a name each week, and I would show up at these people's office with all these sandwiches and an ice chest full of Vault and concert tickets or whatever and leave it for everybody. Every office that won, that person, all of their names got put into a hat for a drawing to win this trip to Vegas.
Right.
Well, our friends Kim and John, when they found out, they entered their office, and they were one of the offices it picked, and I took all these sandwiches to ODOT and all that. Well, Kim and John won the trip to Vegas.
Oh, wow.
And they took Mike and Cassie
And Glister.
And the guys in Glister who were the bartenders at Belle Isle, like all their friends from this happy hour. They took everybody.
They were family now.
Yeah, and that is the trip where Mike and Cassie got married.
Oh, wow.
It was a great time.
Wow. That's a good
awesome.
story.
A free trip from Coca-Cola.
Thank you. And our next
Well, that's
sponsor.
like when Sean McGillicuddy won that on, what was it, 94.7, that wedding from Courtney Love.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
That was
I didn't know that.
Yeah. No, they had a contest. And I can remember being in Texas with Element, doing shows, and payphones. And, you know, the callers, and Sean would be, man, you know, we're in second. We're in second. And I can remember us stopping at all these, you know, like back then you stop at a Waffle House, there's six.
A bank of payphones.
Right there.
Payphones, yeah.
You got the quarters to slam them in and call that number, press the button that he's in, you know, and by the end of it, he ended up winning. They ended up winning. And Courtney Love, they said, was bombed out of her mind.
No.
Yeah,
Imagine that.
Courtney Love, dude.
Wow. I didn't even know
But
she
she married
partied.
him. She was an ordained minister.
And that's who married Lacey and Sean.
Yes.
And how much did that cost him?
How many quarters in the payphone?
But I think what happened was they got to take them and their best men and women, you know.
So hold on. Did Coca-Cola pay for your wedding?
No.
No. They just...
We just kind of were
You
there.
are dying to get out there.
What are you
Just
doing
the
on Wednesday?
transportation and lodging.
Oh, I got you.
We're going to be here a minute.
That's pretty expensive.
Did you serve vault at the wedding?
No.
Oh, wow.
I'm pretty sure it was pulled from shelves.
Yeah, before we even left, it was not even a... Yeah.
It was over.
They're like, that was a poor marketing decision. That lady went on to sell Bud Light.
She sure did. I wonder what she's doing now. That's
So,
funny.
okay.
Okay.
No, this is when I didn't want to do it until I was in person with you.
You're not going to hug him, are you?
No,
Okay.
but
was
when
gonna
we
get out of the
did
way.
this, when I found Huff's tape, see, I thought I had interviewed Lemmy, and we were finding tapes, and we did the Joey Ramone one, and then we did the Lemmy one.
Which was, in fact, Joey Ramone. I'm a big enough fan. I know that was
But,
Joey's
you
voice.
know, you listened to it, being as how you were close with that camp, like us, you were like, at one point, did he send you a message?
Yeah.
I just
that said,
texted him. Yeah, I didn't say it to
I don't
anybody
think
else.
that's Lemmy. You know, and
He sent
so,
me the same message.
huh?
He sent me the same message.
You know, the thing about that is, at what point, if you can remember, did you think it wasn't him?
Well,
Be-
well, the one on the accent, but there is actually a marker in there that I sent. I can't remember what marker it was, but the guy says Lemmy's no dummy or something like to that effect.
That's what I think is.
Because Lemmy wouldn't speak to himself.
Well, you got to remember
And,
that.
and I didn't really catch that in the editing because I had to take these interviews from a cassette that had,
Right.
you know, pretty filthy cassettes, you know,
Yeah,
like
I can
as far
imagine.
as
Well, there was
They
a lot of
sound pretty
they had
noise.
set for a long time, so there was a lot of noise on there, and I had to clean it up a lot. And then once you sent that and said that, I went back and I listened. I was like, "Well, I'll be damned. He does say Lemmy right there."
Yeah, but it comes to the point where they're far into the interview, and if you pacing it and listening to it, you know, there's a part in there where Huff answers the phone, puts
That
him
was
on
the-
hold.
Puts him on hold.
Nobody
to talk to
puts
some
baby on the
girl
corner. I mean, Lemmy on
to
hold.
say he's interviewing somebody, and you know, I think at that point
I think that's when they switched.
they switched. He switched, said he was done. He didn't want to say he was done.
Okay.
He just had become annoyed enough to
So
where.
is this the new conspiracy on this? That
That's the
it
new
was
conspiracy.
Lemmy, and then maybe it switched
Yep.
to
Yep.
Filthy Phil or,
Wait,
or
No,
or
to the tour manager.
Whenever-
to the tour manager.
or to the. Lemmy always had a dude.
Yeah.
That was with him all the time. That, you know, and
Are you saying Lemmy found a touchscreen video game system and was like, I'm out,
no,
I'm done?
He probably found a slot machine.
No, when he got put on hold, he probably went, "What?
Yeah.
What?" and handed the phone
Yeah.
to somebody else.
That makes more sense than
that-
anything.
that makes sense to
because
me.
if you listen to it, it does change.
It does.
It's not the same person on the beginning
Yeah.
that it is on the end.
But you got to really be listening to it to catch it, you know? He
Someone
caught
was
it.
really listening to it and caught it immediately.
That's
Mike
wild.
Pierce.
And the reason is because, I played pinball with Lemmy and at the rehearsal studio
I
while
know
they were
where you
recording.
didn't play pinball with Lemmy.
At the Diamond.
Diamond.
No, I didn't. I didn't.
Because he plugged that thing
Yeah.
in and he was awful upset that
I
it
don't
would
think
not
that
work.
machine was ever exposed after that. I think it went somewhere.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's like sealed.
Yeah.
You can't even look at it.
They've never had pinball
But
machines.
speaking of that GSI Storm, so when Motorhead played at Cain's after the gig, Lemmy's like, not Lemmy, but Mickey's like, hey, Lemmy wants to go play pool. And I go, and this is when the brink was open there.
Right?
And I go, let's go. And so it's Lemmy, Phil, Mickey behind me, and the head gasket was blown out on my little GSI Storm truck. Sounded like a NASCAR guy driving through Tulsa. And I pull right up to the front door, and Brent, who was the owner, is like, hey, you can't park there, Mike. And I'm like, you guys watch that car. What do they want? I go, he wants to play pool. He walks in. Everybody, you're done playing pool.
Get out of Lemmy's way.
And Mickey and I went and got drinks, danced with some girls. They gave us their card. We're like, oh, yeah, we won't be calling you.
We're on a Motorhead tour.
Oh, God.
Hey, those were the days.
It was cool.
You know, so how's life now?
Good. I'm just working, doing aircraft stuff, but I started Slingshot back up, just trying to help Oklahoma, trying to do everything Oklahoma, make videos for produce or promote their product, same kind of thing we've been doing for years.
He's just doing it in Florida now.
Yeah,
Hey,
The Sunshine State where it always rains.
yeah,
does it rain?
It rains a
all
lot
the
there.
time.
Snow?
But it's beautiful all the time. I
No, it
haven't
never
seen
snows.
snow. No.
I've never been to Florida that it hadn't rained.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't matter where in Florida I go, it always rains.
I've only been once.
Hey, Mike says we can go
I
down and
went
see
to
him
a wedding.
anytime.
Come on down.
What part?
I'll tell you later.
You never know.
Daytona, man, Daytona.
Jacksonville.
2204 Destin, Florida. No,
Oh, they got white beaches there.
They do.
They
They're
have very
beautiful.
white beaches there.
our beaches aren't that white, but it is what it is.
So it is Daytona.
Being
Can you drive on the beach? Give me
being
For a long
away,
time.
being away from Oklahoma City for a while, for years, and coming back here and seeing it. What do you see in it? What have you? Can you see a difference? Can
Oh
you?
yeah. I've always thought Oklahoma had a killer musicianship, just musicians in general, but a good music scene. I thought, but it is what you make it. It's not.
Right.
It's not because I hear people, oh, there's nowhere to play, and I go, well, make a place to play. I don't
Right.
know, create it. But I've always had a fondness of the musicians in this town because they work together. L.A. didn't ever have that when I lived out there. It was like, what do you want from us if you're trying to be nice to another? Well, we want to hook up. We can build a fan base together, or whatever. But the city's growing. It's out of control. We miss it. We miss our friends, our family that lives here. But so we may come back. You never know.
You come here in July or August, you won't miss it. It's too hot.
Yeah.
No, but it's guys like you that we're still sitting here reminiscing because our past right here, all four of us have intertwined through a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
And what I can say, I guess, is about and you the same way. Your band would break up or whatever, but your perseverance has kept it going. For the love of music. Were there dollars there? There were at some point. Maybe they are now. But the fact of the matter is, you still have the passion to do what you do.
Well, and I mean, that gig with Striper at the Lloyd Noble was like what fed that for the rest of my
Right.
life. That feeling, it's like, ooh, I want to feel that again. You know?
I mean, listen,
And
once you get that in you, you know that from playing the stage. I don't know that from playing the stage. What I know where I get that feeling from is being successful.
Max Baker, that is not what I hear. Because I hear there is a pretty big band that you sang a song with on stage.
Yeah, I
did.
think I found the video for that the other
I'm
day.
sure you have. Which one?
Was it Poison that you
Yeah. Poison at 89er Ballpark.
Nice.
You know, and guess what? We did rock and roll all night and party every day.
That's not a Poison song.
Let me ask you a question. This has been on my mind.
Uh-oh.
So Kiss has sold their catalog for $300 million
That's it?
as of today.
That's it.
And so think about this. $300 million. Does that seem like a lot of money? That when you look at the Beatles catalog, or what's the Stones catalog going to be worth?
But both those bands had more good songs than Kiss did.
But listen to me. But what I'm saying is $300 million. Now, if they were to sell their rights 10 or 20 years ago, what would that $300 million number be? It wouldn't be $300 million.
What do you think the number would be, Max, if they sold the rights to their logo
Now,
for merchandising?
that's a little bit different.
Now we're talking.
They just sold the music.
Right.
Now you're making sense.
They didn't
Yeah.
sell any of the merchandise or any of that.
Right.
All that still belongs to them.
You know, and,
Because
and-
that's their biggest moneymaker.
Well, sure.
But here's the thing, though: the music, paying $300 million and everything. You know, think about this: with AI and animation, now they want to go. They can take those songs. They don't have to make new ones. Animate them with that. You know, they could have cartoon, Netflix, whatever.
Well, there's no risk. They know what songs are popular, and you know, you don't have to put out a new album to find out if anybody likes it.
That's cool. But do you want to do that? Do you want to kill just you pay $300 million for those same 16 songs? You know what I mean?
Well,
I mean, because their catalog's deep. So if you just structure on those same 16 songs, then your greatest hits packages or whatever, nothing changes. Nothing gets bigger.
how much do you think Rock and Roll All Night Party how much do you think that song brings in every year? Because see, it's in movies. It's in, you know, they play it on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
It's a rock and roll anthem.
Stadiums. Every one of those stadiums is paying ASCAP and BMI.
Mm-hmm.
And they're-
I mean, that song right there brings in a lot of cash. Just and people
What about
want to
Cold
cover.
Gin?
Well, there you go. And then every time someone covers it, you know, they get that kind of money too.
What about Beth?
Beth and Cold Gin aren't being
Yeah.
played in the 7th inning stretch of the World Series, Max.
No.
But Rock and Roll All Night is.
But Beth
So is Start Me Up.
But Beth is being played in what's that movie where those two dudes, Ronnie, you know what I'm talking about? What's the name of that movie?
I can't remember.
And he's like Gigator or whatever. That movie's good.
So did they sell the rights to Phantom of the Park?
That never made it to. That never made it to the. It made it to the screen. But
It did.
It never stayed.
Well, did you ever see it?
Yeah, I used to have video of it. I have a video of it somewhere.
I have a video and a DVD, and saw it when it came out on TV. It sucked all three ways. I saw it.
Did you watch it
ain't
upside
bad.
down?
Huh?
Did you watch it upside down?
I didn't try that.
That's how you're supposed to watch that one.
Oh, see, I didn't know. You've seen it, haven't you?
Yes.
Upside
And-
down.
Yeah, upside down.
And
Like that. Oh, this is good. No. It was not.
I like the Ace's speaking parts. Ock. It's
Yeah.
always ock.
That's what he does now.
Well, Rev and I, remember that show we played with Ace Frehley
Yeah.
at the Diamond? And the openers were upset with us because why do they get to be direct support They didn't have to buy
because I
tickets.
switched it.
What was that,
You know,
2007,
you know,
We're like, we'll play
2008?
first.
2007, 2008, somewhere right around there.
Yeah.
Yeah, somewhere right around there.
Yeah.
That was an awesome show, and nobody was there.
No, we've done Ace a few times, and they were awesome shows. And
The
the
Alcatraz.
Alcatraz one was incredible.
Where the tour manager says there's to be no alcohol around Mr. Frehley.
Yeah, I mean-
he's clean and sober, and he walks in and he's
Higher
like,
than shit.
Hey, look at
Younger
those
than
lights.
shit.
Like, God, those are bright lights.
Dim those lights. Then you
He had trouble
you set
walking.
up a meet and greet and autograph session. It's what you've waited for, and he tells us Ace can't sign nothing because he's got to walk from here to the door, and if he stops and gets sick, the tour's over.
Oh God.
You know, you just lost your savings, and you can't get an autograph.
He had trouble walking.
Yeah.
It reminded me
did.
like when we did Peter Chris at
But
Rock City.
You want to hear something about Ace Frehley that years later it came out? Was when Ace Frehley played the Bronco Bowl. It was Y&T.
That was a great venue.
Y&T,
That was great.
Ace Frehley, Y&T, Ace Frehley, Gary Moore, and Faster Pussycat.
Who was the headliner?
Y&T. But at that show, I met Eddie Trunk for the first time.
Was he out with Y&T?
Did not know it, no. He worked for Megaforce, John and the people in New York that signed Metallica, Johnny Z. He was an intern. The act he got to work, Ace Frehley. Favorite band, Kiss.
And he
Yeah.
was part of the reason why Ace signed to Megaforce. If I remember right, he convinced John to sign Ace
Yes. He's just a kid out of high school.
in college.
Yeah, college. You know, kind of like how with you
Yep.
on radio.
Yep.
And what did he tell us the other day? It's his 40th year. Mm-hmm. You know, go Eddie. I want to thank him from the bottom of my heart for taking his time to at least, tell the story about how he would never know Oklahoma had it not been for Brad and myself. You know, I mean, but that's another, like a rock and roll moment, you know. You meet somebody, you go years on, and then you do something, and you don't even know it till you start talking about shows. You know, at a dinner table like we did, and figured out how many times we had been in the same room together. You know? I mean, there's a lot of those. You know that, Mike.
Well, I know he likes Oklahoma. He's been here enough.
So,
Yeah, we had an interview with him the other day out in the blue bus.
What's the craziest show you've ever been a part of with Max?
Well, one of the most fun was we did up in Newkirk. Is it Newkirk? Up north?
Casino?
First Council Casino.
Is that what that is?
yeah.
Opening up for Brett Michaels.
Yes.
There's about 3,000 people
Yes.
there. And those people were on fire. I mean,
Did you do the Buffalo Run too?
Up in Miami?
we played with Cowboy Troy up there.
Yeah.
I think that was a New Year's gig, though.
Yeah.
But he got on stage and sang Poison Song with us. It was weird.
I'm pretty sure you played a show with Brett Michaels at Heritage Hall in Ardmore, and a band I was managing at the time, Stone Cold Sober, opened. And you guys came
No,
on
that
right
was
after
Vince
That
Neil's
was
solo
Vince
band.
Neil.
Yeah. And then we did
Not Vince Gill.
That's Neil.
Vince Neil. And then we played Two Frogs afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that was with Metal Shop.
Yeah.
And then Vince's guitar player's like, "Hey, can I play a song?" He goes, "Can my bass player play with me? He's my bass player in LA. It's his guitar tech on tour." And I go, "Please." And because my buddy Martin was playing drums, so we played. And then Vince wasn't going to. He goes, "No, I'm just here to sign autographs and stuff." And then he comes up, "Can I sing?" And I'm like, "Dude, come on."
That's how he was like when they played with Carrie and Rev. You know, I mean, And here's the thing about that. You know, like I said, you played with Brett, you played with Vince, you played with Frank, all those guys. It's, you got to be good to be that, to be asked that. These bands do these pickup shows, especially nowadays. It's getting to where, you're not buying the artist of the band you're getting. You might get one member of the band or
none.
He might do a Bo Diddley, as I call them, it's pickup bands. And then you run those pickup bands like guys like you that have a band or whatever. They like you enough, then you become their opening band in the Midwest. And, you get 10 dates and it's a pretty good feeling.
Oh, and Brett's guitar player, Pete,
Evan,
loved us. Yeah. He's like, can I sing Skid Row with you? And I'm like, absolutely. Okay, you start out, type
But
deal.
that's what makes a party.
Oh, yeah.
That's, Aubrey Harris is the king of that down there. For him to be in that area where he's at.
here's what's mind-blowing. This is all happening in Ardmore, Oklahoma. Okay, let me explain something to you. I grew up in Ardmore, Oklahoma. You know what doesn't exist in Ardmore, Oklahoma? High-end professional jobs. What exists in southern Oklahoma are blue-collar factory and warehouse jobs or manufacturing jobs.
Yep.
And these people are working shift work, whether it be
The tire plant.
Yeah, and the tire plant's going away.
It's going to be gone.
Which is going to
Which will make
seriously
it
affect the
worse.
economy. So there's never been a really decent amount of income for the general populace.
But you got to hand it to that guy.
And so I remember when Aubrey first put in Two Frogs in Lone Grove, west of 35. So where he's at now was originally a Shoney's.
Shoney's restaurant.
And it wasn't there for very long. They built that building. They were there for a few years. And then all of the Shoney's in the South and in this area
They cut.
are closed. So Aubrey and his wife buy this building and they turn it into Two Frogs. And back in the day, he would bring some artists in to the place, some blues guys, and there was this piano player named Jack who lived in Ardmore who would play on the weekends. Well, he just did the same thing at the one in Ardmore that's still there. But he has brought some legendary shows to Ardmore, Oklahoma.
Oh, absolutely.
I saw, how many times have you eaten in that restaurant? A dozen or more at least?
Oh, at least.
This year?
Yeah.
Last week.
Within the last year, it's been more than a dozen.
So you know how small that place is.
Yeah.
It's not a very big restaurant.
And the cool thing about it is it's so good, but even on a Friday or Saturday night, you don't have to wait.
No, you've always
There's really hardly no wait time.
great atmosphere, great food,
Food's good.
great service every time.
And his little back private bar area back there, if you're in the know to go back there, you never know who you might see there.
Hey, bro, I saw Joe Bonamassa play live in Two Frogs.
Wow.
I've seen Eric Gales play live
Eric's
in
right in.
Two Frogs. I've seen The Answer, who was the opener on an AC/DC tour, play
And
at
he would
Two
just
Frogs.
buy those bands like a Chiro did.
Yep.
They're rolling through. They need a Tuesday. What's it going to cost me? $100 and you beat them.
Shooter Jennings
Yep.
in Two Frogs.
I saw Mountain Leslie West.
Mountain. I was at that show. I've seen the Cadillac 3 in Two Frogs.
Brett Michaels after parties.
I saw Brett Michaels' full band play in there.
Wow.
I've seen Frank Hannon numerous times.
Frankie Perez.
Frankie Perez a bunch. Aranda. Mike Pierce.
Yeah.
Like,
How
it's
about that
an incredible room, but he doesn't just book these touring bands anymore. He's learned that every show he does needs to be a one-off special event that isn't happening anywhere else.
Or pair up the artists like the last time when me and Jeff were eating there, and, this is like a shit yourself moment. We're eating, and in walks Billy G. Gibbons.
I'm like, Max, look,
And
there's,
like,
there's
look,
Billy.
there's Willie G right there. And, it's my hero, one of my heroes. But
It
he
could
also...
be Willie G or it could be Billy Bob Thornton.
Right.
You just don't know.
Right. Or Kevin Costner.
So when we walk back into Aubrey's little
area.
private area back there, who all was sitting at that table?
He had Chris Dayton from
Chris
Double
Layton.
Trouble, Johnny Winter,
Oh no.
Archangels. He's his drummer.
Chris Layton. There was Ian Moore, Billy Gibbons.
Billy Gibbons. Who was the other guy?
That would be.
Aubrey was there.
Yep.
There's someone else there.
And there was one other guy there, but the crazy part about it was we told him we were from Oklahoma City. And I've heard this more than once. It's like these guys said, "Oh, you're from Oklahoma City." And we were talking about the Samurai, and a Chero's name come up, and Ian Moore and Chris Dayton go, "Man, dude, there's a guy there that used to play at that Samurai.
Badass guitar player.
Badass guitar player. You guys might know who that is.
We both
Without, I didn't even bat an eye.
we both said it at the same time.
Here's his name, Otis Watkins. That's it. You know. And then they were sad that he passed away.
They go, what happened to him? I go, he died. And they're like, oh.
The whole thing
it's like, oh.
They went to balloon.
And I'm
Did you guys see the picture I posted of the badass Otis Watkins T-shirt I bought in the Jersey Mike's parking lot?
Really?
Nice.
Yeah. It was on Marketplace on Facebook, and messaged them and said they were set up at Mojo's Blues Club in Bricktown.
What they want,
And it was
$10.
It was like on a Wednesday or something, and this is a Thursday. I'm up at 6 a.m.
Right.
and I'm scrolling Facebook as I'm drinking my coffee, and I'm like, shit, I missed that. Like, I would have driven down there and bought that. So I just sent him a message real fast. Wasn't friends with him. I didn't know him.
Right.
I'm pretty sure it was Otis's daughter, and they were shirts from the memorial service that they had made, and they were just getting rid of the stock.
Wow.
And I think it was $30 or $40, and I was like, and it was a shirt. It was a design that had never been printed before.
It had the musical notes on it and stuff. It's really cool looking.
It's badass,
It is
bro.
cool looking.
Yeah.
Nice.
Here's that picture of him, classic picture.
OG picture.
Yeah.
OG.
My buddy's got one of his guitars,
Oh, really?
yeah?
the red one. It's a Japanese.
I mean,
Strat.
listen, the guy, Otis Watkins was phenomenal. The cool
Amazing.
part about him is he could change on a dime on what to play.
He could.
You know, but I mean, and you know this, with the players I'm going to say, I seen one of the best put together bands I ever had. Basile Kalopoulos from the Fortune Tellers and
Sir,
Reverb
the
Brothers.
Reverb Brothers.
The Reverb
Yeah.
Brothers.
Yeah.
And
Good.
Scott Keaton
From
of the Deviants.
I love
He
Scott.
Wears Black. And Otis.
I went to high school with Scott.
Did
Or
you?
junior high and high school.
And Otis. And then the drummer was James Keys. Mike Myers on bass.
Went to high school with him.
And they were Bo Diddley's house band.
Yep.
Now, those three guitar players on there with Bo, and, you know, he's like not knowing who to call out to do the lead because you got three badasses right there with three different styles that are just killing it.
Do you have that on video?
I do have it on
Are you serious?
I gotta
I
see
used to
that.
have it on video.
I gotta see that.
I have it on video.
You're serious?
Tower Theater.
Oh,
Wow. Wow.
I gotta see
Before
that.
that
I
was when
got
the-
banned.
Wow.
You know, that'll be a bucket one we'll find.
We'll
Hey,
find
that was the biggest shocker of all about that Christoph Kingfish Ingram show, Max. Your picture is no longer on the wall of do not allow in. I thought for sure.
I wore that shirt yesterday.
I thought for sure you were going to need to go incognito with like the,
I
the
wore that
glasses
shirt
with the big
yesterday
nose and-
to the. That's my new mo. They're be called instead of going to be called Lala, I'm gonna be called Mexla.
Wow.
Mexla the Clan.
So you know what else is not on the wall at the tower? Is the capacity.
yeah.
Because I looked
Nowhere
everywhere
you can
for it.
find it.
I looked everywhere, and it's supposed to be posted where you can see it.
I knew you would look for that.
Of course, I
So
did.
they took it all down before you
I
guys got
looked
there.
for it at Kingfish. I looked for it at Yellow Wolf. I looked at it at where else
Queen's
we
Rike?
got?
Yep.
Queen's Rike.
Yep.
Yep.
And, you know, the cool part about that Kingfish show is, you know, I bought a shirt and I wore it yesterday.
A shirt? I think you bought more than one shirt and every record he had on vinyl.
I did buy every record he had on vinyl.
Man, you're carrying on like you had to carry it to the car.
Because I did.
But, you know, I had to go see that doctor, the infection doctor, that saw me there.
I need to get a health insurance plan like you've got because I have never gotten a doctor's office visit in the middle of a concert before. I need that plan.
You're just going to the wrong doctors.
Because the
Need a
health
rock
insurance
doc.
plan we got at the Cat, it doesn't cover the doctor coming to a venue while a band is playing and getting...
Well,
You got to have a rock doc.
I got presents for those two doctors as we get into September.
It's
But,
no bullshit, Jeff. Jeff and I are standing there, and we both look over and go, is he getting an exam in the middle of this show?
Don't mind me.
And got a thumbs up.
Yeah!
Got a thumbs up.
You're all
Could
good.
not believe it. Could not believe it.
Hey, that's how I roll.
Hey, it is how you roll.
So, you know,
So before we wrap up this episode, Max, first of all, Mike Pierce, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for the invite, and I love you guys, man.
hey, listen.
Hey, he flew here from Florida to do this.
Yeah.
And guess
That's
what?
dedication.
But before,
I'm AI.
You and your old roommate, y'all are the only two that have flown in to be on this
well,
podcast.
the other part of it is I want to give a shout out, and with Michael being here. Hey, David, I hope you're watching.
Love you, buddy.
We love you, and you know what, dude? Here it is. It's still going.
So, how did you guys start off being roommates, and now you're on one coast and he's on the other coast? You guys,
Well, that's another
you guys,
story.
You guys have to get-
We both worked at Record Bar, and then he moved to go to Full Sail, then back and then to California,
Right.
and then just stayed
And he
in
got
touch.
to tap the records.
Yep.
Mike went out there to do music. Dave had an apartment. You know, and here's the thing. If you're
Hustling.
living in Hollywood or you know anything about California, you can't just live there by yourself.
It's tough.
it's too
You know,
expensive.
I mean, 5-6 people, or back then.
Whatever it took.
Well, back then we had revolving door. You could stay here, pitch in here, like in Dallas. How I used to got to be in the Texas scene is I would leave here, and you know I met people, I met strippers, went in stripper homes, and there was a revolving door, but they always opened the door for you. You'd stay. You'd have to buy a motel room, you know. I mean, it was just like that.
Maybe
part
you
of
could
the
do a
history.
Here's the Deal podcast reunion of
Right.
With live
we've
music
talked
and-
about that.
Well, I mean, you know, we've got a few tricks up
That's
our
cool.
sleeve.
I know you do.
And you know, it's like as far as live music and things go, you know, I've ventured off into another area in the entertainment business, but you know, there's never. I've been thinking about later on doing a Here's the Deal music, you know, festival, little get together, or just get togethers, and you, the fans, like you, Mike, that dig the show, that have lived in it and been part of the show, you're part of this journey. Guys like you are
I love
part
it,
of this
though.
journey.
Here's the Deal podcast music festival featuring Mini Mike and regular Mike as they sing the hits.
I'm sure there's a big
Well, you
mic
know,
in there somewhere.
He's playing again.
Yeah.
Mike's singing again.
Yeah.
Good for him.
You know,
Filmed by
rockabilly.
and filmed by video, Mike. We'll have all the mics in there. It'll be a
do
mic
it.
drop.
What do you do about Mike Check?
Mike check.
The Here's the Deal podcast, sponsored by MedCards Made Easy and the Fabulous Baker Boys. Hosted by Jay Ramone and Max Baker Jr. Produced, engineered, and fact-checked by Josh Lupton and Jeff Browning. Subscribe to the Here's the Deal podcast wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.